All right, terrific. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the AI Lunchbreak series. Today, we are diving into a super practical session called Creating Compelling Text Content. Whether you are trying to write a blog post, put together a newsletter, create a booklet, or generate product description, for example, AI can help you do it faster, easier, and often better. I'm Kathy Ballack, and I'm your presenter today. I'm a certified regional AI specialist and lead business advisor focusing on marketing and content strategy. I help businesses across industries grow and communicate more effectively, especially with AI. Let's get right into creating compelling text content with AI. I'm going to demo two fictitious businesses that I've come up with. One is a product business and the other is a service business. I'm going to use Google Gemini and ChatGPT for these two business examples. And you can use other tools such as Claude, Grok, or Microsoft Copilot, but I'm using these two because these are two that I use regularly. So over here, you can see I've got Google Gemini and ChatGPT ready to go, which means simply that I've clicked the new conversation. There's nothing else there right now. And what I want to do for this first demo is let's start with something that can take a lot of time. Let's talk about writing blog posts. Blogs are great ways for showcasing your expertise, but where do you start? I want you to think of this as a multi-step process. First, create an outline, edit it as needed, and then let AI write the full article and edit that as needed. So first step to writing any content, depending what you need. Like for a blog, it's pretty long. So what I want to do first is to create just the outline. Before it starts, I don't want to tell it just to start writing the whole blog. I just wanted us to agree on what's being written. So I've got my first prompt ready for you here, and I'm going to show you it. For each business, what's really important that I'm doing in this, again, this is all about creating your content. And the one thing that's going to stay the same for any kind of good content that we're going to create is that I need to give it enough information. And this is a good example. My first example business, I'm opening a refill and zero waste store in Calistoga, California called The Refill Spot. Write a detailed outline, what I want, for a blog post of approximately 700 words. I'm getting very detailed. What do I want it to produce? That will introduce the store, explain how refill stations work, and highlight the environmental benefit of switching to a zero waste lifestyle. This blog should be educational and welcoming, its tone, aimed at eco-conscious residents and tourists, our target market, who want to reduce single-use plastics. Include local contexts who are helpful, such as the Napa Valley community, sustainability values. The tone should be friendly and helpful, not preachy. So with this, I'm kicking off our first session. This is the product. And while we've got that going in ChatGPT, I want to go ahead and, that's error in message stream. That was weird. Actually, I'm going to do this slightly different anyways. I'm going to put this one in Gemini. We're going to switch it up. We're going to do this one in Gemini, and I'm going to do the service in ChatGPT. So you can see the blog outline. Google Gemini is already kicking away. And in the meantime, I'm going to go over here to ChatGPT and just start off a different one. Didn't go for some reason. There was an error, so I'm just going to start with this one. And for this one, what I've done is I own a residential landscape design business. So this is a service in Sonoma County called Earthwise Gardens. And again, it's fictional. We specialize in sustainable low water landscaping for homeowners. Create a detailed blog outline, first step outline for a blog post titled 5 Ways to Save Water in Your Garden This Summer. So I know what blog I want. I just wanted to help me create it. The article will be roughly 700 words and should be practical and locally relevant, referencing Sonoma County's climate and water restrictions, target audience, who they are, and mention the value of native plants, smart irrigation systems, and soil health. So you can see, I'm putting the same kind of information in there. I'm giving it some the context, exactly what I want, who it's for, and any kind of relevant details. As ChatGPT sometimes does, it gives me two different answers, and it's trying to test which one I like better, so it can help improve in the future. So detailed outline, and it will ask me which one I like better. They're awfully similar. I'm just going to say I prefer this response, so it will shrink it down onto one page. So here it is. Here's my outline. We've got 8 points there, and it gives it to me. My next step, and let's go back to Google Gemini in the meantime and see what it did over here. Here's my blog post for the product business. There we go. Gave me 6 points for this outline. My next step should be to review this and to tweak it and get exactly what I want, because this is how AI works. You need to be involved. So I would typically rework this, and then I would go to the next step and start writing the blog. I'm going to assume, for the sake of time, that this is just perfect. So for the first business, let's just say this is, we've got it, we've gone back and forth a couple of times, and I've got it exactly what I want. So now I'm just going to say, now write the full blog post, keeping that outline. So we work on it together. I'd say, yes, this is what I would want. I finally want. Keep the tone friendly in between 650 to 700 words. And I can go ahead with that. And I've got that one going. One moment, my mouse is hopping around there. Okay. And let's go to the other one, the service business. Again, we're going to pretend that the outcome was just perfect, which we should never assume that. And I'm just going to say something similar. Now write the full blog post using that outline. Keep the tone friendly in between 650 to 700 words. Reference local drought challenges. Include simple tips that any homeowner could apply. So I'm just giving you a little bit more detail to make sure I get exactly what I want. And with a soft call to action. What do I want people to do? Inviting readers to schedule a consultation with Earthwise Garden. So I just want to make sure that it's doing that. Something's going on there with ChatGPT. It's having problems today, so it's having problems connection. Of course it is. Let's go back to this one while I try to get that one going again. So here is our service business. The product business. So here's the full blog that it came up, and it is following exactly the outline that we have up there. Same kind of thing, just made it within long. And if I ask it how many words, that it is, it's going to be between 600 and 700. Let's retry this again and put this in separately and see if that helps. ChatGPT is having a problem. I know my connection is right because everything is going fine. So we're going to leave that aside and keep moving on to the product. That is the demo for what you would do for how to write a blog. So the second content, this is all about just writing text content. So the second demo I want you to think about next up is email newsletters. And for this, I'm thinking about what article do I want to have? What would be a good lead article for an upcoming newsletter? And I don't really have an idea yet. So first, before we get to the actual writing, I want AI to help me brainstorm newsletter ideas. I'm not going to start a new chat because I'm still talking about the same businesses and I wanted to hold the same information. So I'll leave this here and I'm going to go on to starting a new task, but the information above is still relevant. If it was not, then I would come over here and I would do a new chat, right? If I was changing something completely, like the business that we're talking about, I would do that. But I want to keep it the same. So let's go over to here and I'm going to tell, this is Gemini, next thing for the refill spot. And so I'm saying we're going on to something different. I need 3 to 4 newsletter ideas for July that tie into local events, eco-friendly living, and product education. The goal is to build awareness in Napa Valley community, encourage local customers to fill up monthly. And I'm going to let it go. Let's see if we are back over here with ChatGPT being online. I'm not going to worry about because we finished up with our blog. And I'm just going to give it new instructions up here for, again, this is for our services. So I'm going to say, great, I need help with 4 timely newsletter topics for July, written for homeowners who want attractive yet water-wise gardens. Include 1 promotional idea, 1 educational idea, 1 client story idea, and 1 that ties in with a local event or seasonal change, like fire season or water district updates. I just want to give it some ideas of what. Wow, that's definitely weird. Something's happening here with ChatGPT. Definitely having problems here. So again, this is a ChatGPT thing. So we will move on, and if we have time, I will go back and do this in Gemini. This is a really good example of why you use more than one AI machine. Oh, I just see a pop-up of somebody else having issues with ChatGPT, right? We're using technology and things go wrong. So as I've pointed out before, this is why I'm using more than one tool. In fact, it's why I use Copilot, because I can always have this open on the side and just do a little demo here. This will take me a couple of minutes longer, which I hope we don't go too far back, lose too much time today if I do this. But I'm going to start this over in Copilot because, and just catch us up to where we were with the blog and see if I can make this work okay. Okay, so it's doing the same thing over there for the blog. And now I'm going to catch it up and say, there's my blog outline. And here is my prompt. Again, I've already read these to you. It's exactly the same as the things that were not working in ChatGPT. And here's what it's coming up with my blog. So there we go. Good options there. Again, I've made assumptions. I've made assumptions that the outline was good when you would go back and edit it. And also after writing this, you really need to go over it and make sure it's exactly what you want. Really important. So back to the demo 2 for the newsletters. Let's go for the services. And here's what I wrote for that. And here's, I mentioned this. This is my 4 timely newsletter topics for July. So I've got 2 different screens working on 2 different businesses. That's why I like this way of doing tools. And if you notice, we've got great things. So I've got my newsletter ideas for the refill spot going over here. And it gave me some really good newsletter ideas. It's giving me a lot of great details. 3. Gave me 3 great. I didn't specify how many I wanted there. In this one, I told it specifically I wanted 4 types of ideas. So let's see if it did it. Promotional idea, an educational idea, a client story idea, and a seasonal local tie-in. Some really wonderful stuff. So my second step after I get some ideas of what I want would be to choose which idea do I like best. And again, for the interest of time, I would spend some time going through this and saying, what do I like? But I'm going to say, hey, this first idea of summer fun, sun, and sustainable swaps, whatever that is. Cleaning sustainability for a sparkling home. I'm just going to say that I like that first. Oh, the farmer's market fresh and zero waste kitchen sounds nice. So I'm going to say I like this one. I like the third idea. Write a short, engaging newsletter blurb as my lead story, about 150 words. Make it friendly and a little fun with a clear call to action to visit the store. Include some subject line suggestions too. And I'm going to get that one going. And in the meantime, I'm going to show you my second demo here on the service business. I'm going to, if you notice, remember we had the promotional idea, number 1, number 2. I'm going to tell it just to write a short and compelling email newsletter blurb, again, under 50 words, for the educational one. I didn't say number 2, I just said educational one. The tone, I gave it the tone and clear call to action. What do I want people to do? To schedule a discovery call from Earthwise Gardens. Suggest subject line possibilities, focusing on the topic. One thing I want you to notice while I'm doing this is I'm not using exactly the same language, right? I vary things a little bit. And it's because all of these AI tools are using natural language. So I could say things slightly different as long as it's clear about what I mean. That's all that matters. And I've got some great subject lines popping up here. So check this out. Subject line ideas. Wonderful. Boom, boom, boom. Um, so yeah, so there's my blurb. There we go. There's my blurb. Somewhere, subject line ideas, email blurb. There it is. My email blurb for that one. And it's, nice. It's again, it's going to be right within the exact length I want. And it gives me a little space to remind me to book the consultation, put that button there or whatever it is I need. So it just helps give me that little gentle reminder. Okay, put it there and I'm ready to go. So really quick, got some really great information coming out of there. All right, so let's go into a third demo. I'm going to try to fit in 4 demos today. And then I want to level us up a little bit. I want us to create a booklet or a guide. So a kind of booklet might be perfect for educating customers or using as a lead magnet, which is something you put on your website for people to sign up and you collect their email address. So let's assume I already know what topic and title I want to write. Otherwise, I could have used email AI to help figure out what my topic might be, what some possibilities. But for this one, I'm going to assume I know what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get started again. And I'm not going to click a new chat because I'm still talking about the same business. I'm just coming up with something else. All of the information I put in there is still relevant. So instead, what I did is just put the next thing I want to do is create a short customer guide called Beginning Guide to Living Zero Waste for my refill store. The booklet should help educate customers who are new to the concept. So again, I'm defining who the target is, what I want, create a 5-chapter outline that's practical and not overwhelming. Each chapter should address one aspect of daily life and how to reduce waste. I could say exactly how long I want the book to be, but I'll get to that instead. I'm going to treat that a little bit differently instead of telling how exactly long I want it to be. And then I just click go on that. Let's see what comes up. And in the meantime, over in Google Gemini, so I was supposed to be using ChatGPT. But like I said, I think we ended up even better because, this is what happens when we have mistakes, or not mistakes, but problems come with our technology. So I need help with a new task. I'm creating a downloadable PDF booklet called The Sonoma Homeowner's Guide to Sustainable Landscaping. Suggest a 5-chapter outline that balances education and practical steps. The goal is to attract eco-conscious homeowners in wine country communities like Santa Rosa, Sebastopol, and Petaluma. Include chapters that discuss water-efficient design principles, choosing native plants, soil prep, maintenance, and designing for seasonal beauty. So good prompt there, and I can go ahead and get that going. This is really important, though. Before I would just start writing and say, write a book. I would never do that. I would have gone through planning what the topic is, what the title is. Like I said, I jumped into that so that now I'm just dealing with the outline and getting exactly what I want. But let's see. But once I know that I've got what I want, so I've reviewed this, I've edited it. Right, so here it gave me my 4 chapters plus a conclusion and an introduction as well. So this is how it suggested that I deal with this. I'm going to assume I already have an introduction I want. So I'm just going to say, based on the outline above, write chapter 1. So let's say I've gone through this and I've worked with it to get chapter 1 exactly the way I want. And then I can say, let's go ahead and do chapter 1. Make it approachable and solution focused with tips that can be acted on today using items from a refill store. Aim for 5 pages of text. So I'm giving an idea at least how long it should be. All right. Is everybody able to see this okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and start writing. And then I can go ahead and say, let's go ahead and do chapter 1. So let's say I've gone through this and I've worked with it to get chapter 1 exactly the way I want. And then I can say, let's go ahead and do chapter 2. Make it approachable and solution focused with tips that can be acted on today using items from a refill store. Aim for 5 pages of text. So I'm giving an idea at least how long it should be. All right. Is everybody able to see this okay?
Yes, we're able to see it.
Good. Just want to make sure, that the Copilot's coming through too. Thank you, Brianna. Fabulous. And over here in Copilot, I told it a little something a little different, right? Chapter 1 of this booklet, keep it under 8 pages. I changed it a little bit. I think this one should be a little bit longer. Make it persuasive, not preachy. Include stats about trends about water usage, wildfire risk, climate adaptation. Tone should reflect a local expert. So I even told them a little bit more about who I want myself to sound like I am, who's passionate about the environment and practical garden design. So all of these prompts, again, one thing I want you to be picking up about is what is working. And when you're getting good results, it's because you're giving it enough information. This is interesting. If you notice over here in Gemini, I cannot fulfill your request for 5 pages. My current capabilities do not allow for generating such a lengthy content. 5 pages would be approximately how many words, which is significantly more than a typical chapter. So I might have to switch it. So let's go ahead and let's do this at 300 to 500 words. And if you notice, I usually would be using ChatGPT where I wouldn't have those limitations because I have a paid version of ChatGPT. So over here in Copilot, there we go. And there's my chapter 1. All set. That's looking pretty good. All of this really good stuff, and I could go ahead and use this. But if you notice, Gemini gave me a limitation, and this is what will happen realistically, especially unless you're using paid tools. And I like to show you how to use inexpensive and free tools, especially, though I believe absolutely in some that are that you should have some that are paid. And for example, I do actually have a pay for Google through my Google Workspace. So I'm kind of surprised it wouldn't do that. And I do pay for Microsoft Copilot through my subscription to Microsoft. And I do pay for ChatGPT as an outright subscription. So for my last demo, at least you get an idea of what you can do here and, have a first chapter and you go chapter 1 by 1. You are not going to create a whole booklet just saying create a booklet. You're going to work with it, create sections, create a chapter, 1 by 1 by 1. That's what's going to make it work. And for this last demo, I want to show you how to create text about a picture because you can actually do that. So specifically, I want you to think about like how you might generate a product description or even a service description from an image. So I'm going to do this for our first business, the refill spot. And let's say I have a product I'm going to feature and I have a photo of the product. I can click here in the plus sign and upload files. And on my uploaded files, I've got one here. Where is it? There's beeswax paper. I have this product that I think, I really like this product. We sell it and I want to promote it. So I uploaded it and I'm going to put in a prompt here that says, write a compelling product description for this item that we sell. Again, I'm not giving it all the details because it knows who I am because we have this whole conversation going above. Should be about 50 to 75 words long in a friendly and helpful tone. Mention how it supports a zero waste lifestyle and how it can be reused. Assume that the reader is eco-conscious but new to shopping in refill stores. And I didn't say where I want to use it, but I could add, I'm going to use this on my website, wherever I'm going to use it. I just want a little blurb so that I can use this whenever I'm talking about the product. And here we go. And it knows information about all of this. It knows this one's organic. It can provide information about using this. And we can go back and forth till we get exactly what I want. But whenever you're stuck, even for short things like this, it makes a big difference. So that was a product description. What about a service business? Does it help to have pictures and use them? Absolutely. So let's say, for example, I have a project and I'm going to let's use this one. I'm this company and I have this great project And I want to write a 60 to 75 word portfolio caption. So I'm going to put it up on my website, have a portfolio information about this image of a drought tolerant front yard we designed in Sonoma County, highlight the sustainable choices made, how the design supports pollinators. So I'm telling it still what, I wanted to focus on, and who the target audience is. So I'm still giving it some of the information. And we might use it on our website, also on Instagram. So it knows a little bit of information about how long, about how I'm using it. And while we got this, here we go. Now, here's the amazing thing. If you have not done this before, California lilac and purple sage, it's seeing what is in the images. And there, for this one, you can see I had asked it for my hashtag. I think I said my hashtags in there, or did it just provide it? But I can tell it what I want. So if I'm going to use it certain ways, I can say, give me hashtags, whatever it is that's going to help. I could even ask for a title. Let's say I'm going to put a title on this or something like this. Give me a title for it. We are at 12:30, so we are nearly done. But from all this, you would have a polished demo, a polished description, ready to go for wherever you want, your website, e-commerce, whatever. And with that, that will wrap up our demos.